Most people don't realize this, but the nicer you are, the more likely some people are to treat you badly. Not because they hate you, because your kindness quietly teaches them that they can. You've probably felt this before. You help someone, you give your time, you listen to their problems, you forgive them when they cross a line, and somehow, instead of respect, you get taken for granted. They ask for more. They push a little further. They become colder, less grateful, sometimes even disrespectful. And the strangest part? The nicer you try to be, the worse it sometimes gets. At first, it doesn't make sense. You were taught that kindness creates kindness, that being understanding makes people appreciate you, that patience earns respect. But human psychology doesn't always work like that. In reality, people constantly test the boundaries of others. Not consciously, not maliciously, just naturally. Every interaction between two people quietly answers an invisible question. How much can I get away with? And when someone senses no resistance, no limits, no consequences, their brain slowly rewrites the rules of how they treat you. It starts small. Maybe they interrupt you when you speak. Maybe they show up late. Maybe they ask for favors they wouldn't ask anyone else. You let it go. Because you don't want to seem rude. Because you want to be understanding. Because you tell yourself it's not a big deal. But the human mind is extremely sensitive to patterns. If someone crosses a line and nothing happens, the brain records it, not as a mistake, as permission. And over time, something strange begins to happen. The person who once appreciated you starts expecting you. Your help is no longer generosity. It becomes obligation. Your patience stops looking like kindness. It starts looking like weakness. And the more consistently you absorb discomfort to keep the peace, the more comfortable others become creating it. This doesn't happen because people are evil. It happens because people adapt. Human beings instinctively organize relationships based on signals of strength, boundaries, and consequences. When those signals disappear, the structure of the relationship quietly shifts, and the shift is almost invisible. You may even notice something unsettling. People who treat you poorly often treat someone else with far more respect, someone less accommodating, someone who says no more easily, someone who doesn't rush to fix every problem. And that realization can feel unfair, because deep down you think, I'm the one being good to them. But psychologically, something else is happening beneath the surface. Kindness without boundaries creates imbalance. When you consistently give more than you receive, the relationship stops feeling equal, and equality is the hidden ingredient of respect. Without it, the brain starts categorizing roles: the giver and the taker, the accommodating one, and the one who decides. Once those roles solidify, changing them becomes extremely difficult. But there's an even darker layer to this. Some people are unconsciously uncomfortable around someone who is too kind, because kindness creates a quiet pressure. It reflects their own behavior back at them. And instead of rising to meet that standard, some people lower the value of the kind person instead. If they convince themselves that you are weak, naive, or easily manipulated, then they no longer have to feel guilty for taking advantage of you. Your kindness becomes easier to exploit and easier to dismiss. This is why people sometimes disrespect the person who helps them the most. Not because your kindness has no value, but because kindness alone does not define your position in someone's mind. Boundaries do. Every healthy relationship is built on invisible lines. Lines that quietly say, this is where my generosity ends. This is where respect begins. When those lines exist, kindness feels like a gift. Without them, Kindness feels like a resource, and people treat resources very differently than gifts. Resources are used repeatedly until they run out. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people never say out loud. Being a good person does not protect you from being treated badly. In some environments, it can even invite it. Not because kindness is wrong, but because kindness without limits teaches people how far they can go. The irony is that the people who are truly respected for their kindness are rarely the ones who give endlessly. They are the ones who know exactly where their generosity stops. They help, but they don't chase approval. They forgive, but they don't erase consequences. They listen, but they don't abandon themselves to keep someone else comfortable. And because of that, their kindness feels different. It carries weight. It carries boundaries. It carries something many people mistake for coldness, but is actually self-respect. And once you understand this, you begin to see something clearly. The problem was never that you were too kind. The problem was that the world could not see where your kindness ended. And when people can't see the line, some of them will keep walking until they find it.